Well, everybody, welcome back again. This is Monsters of Folklore. Today, we'll be talking about a fictional monster known as the Xenomorph or Alien from the Alien series. Now, you might be wondering, is the Xenomorph XX121, which the whole number thing is new to me, is it the scariest biological weapon ever created or the most efficient hunter ever to evolve? There is no definite answer, but everyone agrees that if you encounter them, you probably won't really live to talk about it. An invasion of xenomorphs can mean extinction for every other species in the vicinity. Fortunately, our understanding of the xenomorph has grown substantially since its introduction in Alien from 1979. Now, since 1979, the xenomorph has appeared in movies, books, comics, and toys. Each new chapter in the xenomorph story gives us new reason to fear them. The list of their hunting capabilities is a long one. I'll probably give you maybe about between 8 to 10 different things that make them super dangerous, and let's just hope they somehow never become real. We're going to start off by telling you about the eggs themselves. The eggs can wait a long time for a host. Now, don't be fooled by this innocent appearance of the xenomorph egg or the ovomorph. Now, there's a chart that I've seen that apparently the ovomorph itself, which is the egg, is like the beginning stage of the alien. Now, the ovomorph protects the facehugger parasite inside while they kind of both wait for a suitable host to stumble upon them. When a suitable host wanders by, the egg opens and the facehugger launches out onto the victim. The queen xenomorph, the highest alien in the xenomorph caste system, lays the ovomorphs inside a protected chamber. If the colony is young and does not have a queen, the xenomorphs can use prey parts and construct an ovomorph from their organic material in a process called egg morphing. Now, that's pretty interesting that if they don't have a queen, they can construct their own eggs somehow. Now, the ovomorphs are hardly long-lived creatures. They are able to survive for long periods of time, as long as hundreds or thousands of years, while they wait for a host to stumble upon them. Now, the eggs have been known to put out roots which they can draw nutrients out of the environment. Their outer layer is extremely strong and can survive significant amounts of physical trauma. They have a interesting nervous system, and when cut, they spurt out some kind of acid as a defense mechanism. We're going to talk about their acidic blood. Now, everything about the xenomorph makes them, top of the food chain in any environment. The only exception would be, their home planet if they are, natural creatures. This would be one planet to never, ever visit. Their blood is an example of how, perfect a predator they really are. The xenomorph blood is an extremely powerful acid, ensuring that they are a terrible prey for almost anything. A wounded xenomorph's blood is capable of melting through almost all natural and man-made substances. No predator will ever last long, choosing them as prey. All life stages of the alien's life cycle uses the acidic compound as a defense mechanism. Now, it is speculated that the defense is only, one use for their acidic blood. The acid in the blood might function like battery acid for a battery. The acidic nature of the blood means it could be releasing a steady flow of energy. My God, my fan tipped over and scared the shit out of me. Okay, let's get back to it now. This might be why we rarely see the xenomorphs feeding on their victims. They do not eat their prey because they don't usually need to. The few instances where they have been seen consuming victims might be to support heightened states of activity. And talking about the acid, in all the movies and stuff, you can really see just how far the acid can really eat through any of the ships. Now, their dormant state, which in the very first Alien movie, you see just how dormant they are when people approach them. But now, patience is a virtue that the xenomorph knows well. Like the ovomorphs, the adult xenomorph can wait a long time for victims. The alien has the ability to enter a dormant state with absolutely no movement. They do not breathe, so there is no, subtle body movements associated with that. Now, they can stay completely still with no sign of life. Their outer, carapace is usually black, so they blend in very well into shadows. They secure themselves, in a covered location and wait. Now, this comes especially handy in hives and other locations where they have begun, building their home. The xenomorph's black exterior, visually melds within the resin-based structures they build, along the walls and floors. The xenomorph's body is indistinguishable from the environment since the colors and textures match, their own outer shells. You don't see them until it is really too late. They can curl up and look like part of a wall and only move when the victim is close, getting close to running from them. Another cool thing about the xenomorphs is that they are cooperative, they have cooperative hunting techniques. And by that I mean, they're a pretty social monster. These creatures work together to both, capture and herd prey. The method of their communication is unknown, although some people kind of hypothesize that it could be through, pheromones and non-audible cues like noises and hissings and, things like that. But it's really hard to tell. Now, it is a possibility that the noises they make are for, echolocation purposes. So maybe that's how they kind of detect one another and their prey. It's, it's up in the air. Now, they're able to communicate enough to not only coordinate, but also for, minor problem-solving purposes. During the movie Alien Resurrection, which came out in 1997, two of the xenomorphs kill a third and use its acidic blood to escape, from the confinement. In the special edition, though, the home video release of Aliens from '86, the xenomorphs try alternate tactics to attack the survivors when obviously routes, are made inexciting. In this version of the film, though, sentry guns are placed in the hallway outside the room the survivors have escaped to. But now the xenomorphs find the guns to be too overwhelmingly, so they change their mode of attack to the crawl spaces above the ceiling to avoid detection. We're going to talk about their exoskeleton now. The one characteristic that almost all variations of the xenomorphs, share is its, protein, high-powered exterior. This sort of exoskeleton is seen in nature called chitin in the shells of animals like, insects and crabs. The chitin-like exterior means the xenomorph can withstand a lot of damage. Now, however, though, the hard, like chitin, is, it's the only part that's kind of powerful of the exoskeleton. They also replace their exterior cells with polarized, silicone, giving them resistance to, adverse environment conditions. Not only can the xenomorph take a beating, it can also exist in almost any environment. Now, they are well protected from most weaponry, and it requires something very strong to punch through their exoskeleton. In the movies, like small arms fire and physical attacks have little to no impact at all. Defeating a xenomorph requires heavy weaponry like energy weapons, fire, explosions, or just point-blank range. Now, trying to fight a xenomorph without the benefit of range and superior firepower is just, you're stupid, basically. Now, another one is their their observational intelligence it's pretty high. What is worse, though, than a vicious monster hell-bent on your capture or death? A vicious monster hell-bent on your painful death that can open doors. The xenomorphs have shown the capability to learn this use of simple mechanisms by observing their prey. The host organism that birthed them might have some impact on how this intelligence develops, and it might even require life forms with a higher capacity for intelligence. But the aliens can develop a form of redundant tool using. Now, there are chilling examples of this at play in the movies. In Aliens, the xenomorphs are able to cut the power to part of the base where the humans are hiding. This gives them easier access to their potential human prey. In the same movie, the Queen is able to use the elevator after watching Ripley enter one and use it to escape to the top level. Now, in AVP, Alien vs. Predator, and Alien Resurrection, the xenomorphs use their acidic blood to free the Queen and escape confinement. Now, here is the doozy: the inner jaw of the xenomorph. Now, the alien has two jaws. The first set of jaws is just of limited use. The purpose may be for intimidation or to protect the more fragile inner jaw. The inner jaw can be propelled at great force to form a killing blow. The xenomorph will usually ensure the victim is immobilized in some form before projecting the jaw. I guess to kind of protect the jaw itself from, maybe getting broke or something like that. A well-known technique of the creature is to hold their victim immobilized in their hands, pull back its outer jaw with a loud hissing, then suddenly propel the jaw through the victim's forehead, destroying the brain, of course. This apparently is called a headbite. The climatic scene in Aliens is both a great moment in cinematic history and a terrifying extended use of the inner jaw. Ripley has attacked the Queen with the power loader, and in the struggle, the Queen has managed to get in between the loader's arms and pin Ripley to the wall. While momentarily immobilized, the Queen attempts to headbutt Ripley. The inner jaw continues to change angles as it tries to make its way into her head. Now another weapon that the alien has is its blade-tipped tail. So far we've discussed, the xenomorphs, the skeleton, the acidic blood, its intelligence, and its inner jaw. All of that together makes for an imposing deadly hunter that is almost guaranteed to kill you. Of course, that isn't enough for this horrific nightmare. They also have a segmented, blade-tipped tail. The exact form of the tail seems to vary across xenomorphs, which may be due to variations in the host. Now, however, in all cases, the tail exhibits great strength and can be used as a bludgeon or a spear. It has enough strength to pierce through and lift its prey. It can also use the tail to push attackers away or clear obstacles. Now the tail, it has been used in some truly vicious attacks over the many Alien stories. In Alien vs. Predator, it shows a predator, Scar, which is his name, been mortally wounded and lifted off the ground by a tail thrust through him from the Queen. Now the Aliens has one of the most classic of all tail kills. The Queen comes out of hiding in the dropship behind Bishop, a synthetic human, and plunged his tail straight through his chest, then uses her arms, her little stumpy arms, to rip him in half. Now, they also have a pretty good genetic memory of, seeing how things work. The alien has exhibited a genetic memory that connects, generations. The memories are specific in nature and not just a collection of general knowledge. In, Alien Resurrection, the movie and the novelization, give the best example of this, since the clone of Ellen Ripley can give insight into the nature of the xenomorph. The original Ellen Ripley, she dies in Aliens 3. With an infant queen bursting from her chest, she is successfully cloned so that the xenomorph queen can also be cloned and then detached for further study by Dr. Mason Ryan. Now the Ripley clone, the queen detached from her, and the xenomorphs, the queen gives birth to all of them that appear to share Ripley's memories. Now, Dr. Wynn speculates the purpose of the genetic memory is to maintain, cohesion among the species. The potential downside, though, of the genetic drift experienced by the xenomorph embryo would be a loss of the xenomorph identity in favor of its host's identity itself. This would create like a life-threatening confusion. Now, genetic memories ensure that the new xenomorph will know what it is and how to live without confusion from the host. Now pretty much everything that I've stated is like things that make it for a deadly hunter. There is a few things that I researched that kind of make it kind of weakened. They're not really that interesting. One of them, a few of them is like, they have to depend on a host for adaptation, which means talking about the eggs, how they'll sit for years and just sit there and wait before something comes along where Facehugger can come out, jump out and get it. Now, like another one is talked about how they're intelligent all up to a point when you can outsmart them because their main thing is they're like primitive monsters basically. Because like if they don't know you have a trap set, they're not going to try and learn about it. Like when I talked about the sentry guns, they didn't know about that until they started seeing them and what could happen, and that's, how they adapted to get around them. Now, their exoskeleton, like I said, can withstand a whole lot of force, but the main weaknesses for every type of alien, is extreme heat, like the flamethrowers and things like that. That's pretty much the only good way to take them down. And when it comes to, their victims and spreading their little parasites, in all the movies and stuff like that, movies, games, they got to keep their hosts alive for the impregnation. I'm not really sure why they would have to keep them alive. I guess it's like a baby somewhat. I guess, this constant blood flow and oxygen and things like that. And now, a really weird one that I ran across was they can be stunned by like a vibration. I think that is in the comics. Like they have certain type of guns that somehow the vibration messes with their head, and it can, stun them temporarily, and that's when you pretty much got your chance to do something, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But everybody, that was just some pretty interesting facts of what makes the xenomorph so deadly of a hunter. And of course, I told you a couple that, can probably slow them down just a little bit. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it, comment. I guess you have to turn on the bell or whatever notifications to know when I put out a new video, something like that if you want to. But yeah, thank you. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.